Okay, so if we can continue then.
But like I say,
is this the stage where you come on to the Royal Navy Commandos now?
that's right. Well, I'll tell you how I got onto this sort of thing. So I got drafted off the flagship. I went to the Victory first, then from the Victory, I got drafted up to HMS Excellent again, the gunnery school. I expect you've heard of Whale Island, worse than Ganges. That place used to double. If you want to let a walk march, everywhere you went, you had to run, double. Well, anyway, I was up there, and I just finished this course, and I used to go with a chap called Vic Dowle. You know, we just met each other and we chummed up together. And about a week before Christmas,
This is 42.
yeah, 4th of November, 42. But yeah, this will be at Whale Island. I'll just tell you how we got into it. You see, and there's a call comes over the loudspeakers. Petty officers, leading hands, and able seamen required for special duties. 7 days Christmas leave to ever volunteers. Using the carrot before the donkey sort of thing, you know. Well, anyway, 7 days Christmas leave, crikey, Christmas. I'd never had a Christmas all during the war. So, old Vic Dowle and me, we go down there, and you'll never believe this again. First in the queue was Ray Bromley, my old mate from the welfare. We picked up, and you never believe these things. It's a small world. So anyway, we gets in the queue behind him. Master name says, name, come in, right. I'd like to volunteer for this special duties, Master. And he grin come over his face sort of thing. Right, he said, no. Right, 7 days leave, report to the medical officer before you go. So I gets my name down, Vic Dowle gets my name down, and Bromley's first as usual. And go on leave, we come back, report to the drafting office, and I goes up with Vic Dowle and 2 petty officers. And they drafted up to Scotland. Well, you can guess. It was November. Well, it was December, just beginning of January. It was 18th of January. Snowing hard up in Scotland. It took us 4 days to get where we was going. And anyway, they drafted us to this navy place called HMS Armadillo. You know, Armadillo, like the Beetle, like that name. So anyway, we going in there with our kit and all that. It hadn't been open in a few months. And we see all these sailors marching up and down, all in khaki and everything. So I looked something down. I said, oh, come on, Claire, we're not going to do any of that. Who wants to be a commando, like, sort of thing, you know? I wonder what our specialty. Oh, we're probably coxswain on the landing craft or something like that. So anyway, next thing I hear is we put our kit in, report to the Master of Arms in his office. He said, right, he said, we're now forming a new commando, and it will be called N Commando, and you lot are in it, just like that, grinning all over his face. So I thought, crikey. So anyway, what we had to do then, the next day, they issued us all out with khaki and army boots and gaiters and a lot. Of course, being ex-sailors, we've been used to wearing nice light shoes and all that, but wearing these big army boots had blisters right up to my knees, sort of thing. And they gave us all this army kit, and our navy kit we had to send home. So anyway, we done all that, and we get introduced to our commanding officer, Lieutenant Commander Bill Redshaw, the chap I was telling you that's at home down at near Hastings. And the fellas all in them, we had them. There was 6 of us were general servicemen, you know, that were general service badge, you know, we had the old long service badge up. And they put us in with these, you know, to educate these HOs a bit, you know, sort of thing. And we were issued with all this army gear. We were given weapons. I was given a Lanchester gun. I don't know whether you've seen them on the toy. It's like a Sten gun with a frame on the front of it full of holes, but you can break it like a pop gun. And once you've got your magazine in, you can break it, and if you're around the corner, you can stick this thing around the corner and literally actually fire it from around the corner. And you can fix a 12-inch bayonet on the end of it, a Lanchester it's called, and it's a naval weapon. From that, and then we started doing intensive training all over the place, you know, up in Scotland and Can I? We formed a new beach party N. All right. Now, which one was beach party? Now, in these parties were 3 lots: N1, N2, and N3. I were in N2. Now, in our party, there was one commanding officer and one which they called a beach master, and then you had another junior rating to him called a assistant beach master. Then we had 2 petty officers, 2 leading seamen, with 20 able and ordinary seamen. Now that contingent made up one group of the commando. We were split in 3, but we were all N party. But why? The reason we were split in 3, so that we could each do separate jobs when we land. M1 done their bit, and N2 do their bit, and N3. So when you're going in, you split up in 3 different parts of the beach. You're not all in one section. And then I got here. This is what Lieutenant Commander Redshaw said, and he says he was fortunate enough to have a bodyguard, able seaman Sid Kipling, who managed to save my life on numerous occasions. Actually, he presented me with a crest, a commando crest, and it's got that written on the back of it. So, you know, then during the last part of March, we finished training, we say, at Ardentini, and then we done 1 or 2 minor landings with the troops in different parts of Scotland, in the locks and all that. And then in March we were sent down to a place called HMS Foliot, F-O-L-I-O-T, Foliot 3, at Bickley in Devon. Now the present day, that is the Marine Commandos training centre. I don't know whether you know it at all, but they're down there. And what we went down there to first off, we had to build an assault course for them down by the river Plym, P-L-Y-Y-N. Don't really know all these things, but we done 1 or 2 landings. We done a landing one Sunday morning early. They landed us on some rocks just below the cliffs, and we had to land on the rocks. We scoured the cliffs, and on top of these cliffs was a 4-gun gun battery. Mind, this is only manoeuvres, it's not so anyway, we took this gun battery, and the next thing was an RAF station. So anyway, one of our lads, before we went in there, done a wreck, and he poked his nose into one of these long huts, and it's full of WAAFs. Well, we had these, I don't know whether you've seen them at all, but we had these big fireworks, you know, which we use, you know, for, they explode like a normal firework, or much bigger. We use them, say we're throwing a hand grenade or something like that, you know. So anyway, we split up, and we opened to each end of this big ignition hut. Nobody woke up. We slung some of these big fireworks in there, crackers. They went off like a light, and there was all these WAAF goes rushing in each end. Some had 90s on, and some had this on, and some had nothing on, you know. Well, anyway, we took the RAF station. We had our little joke, and then we understood the Home Guard were waiting for us. But you see, being the Home Guard, they were stretched behind a hedge right across a field. Well, by this field was a forest, but it was all marshy and muddy. Well, being commandos, we're not going to go the easiest way. We have to go through all the mud and slosh and everything. But when we got the other end, we came out behind the Home Guard at the end of the field. So the next order we get, this is all the 3 of us now, 1, 2 and 3, so it's quite a good number. And the order we got was fixed bayonets. So we fixed bayonets, and next thing, a whistle went, and we charged. And this Home Guard, they didn't expect that. They thought we were going to cross the field then. And we charged, and they must have got a bit scared because they was up, and they run, and they were so that was it. And the last post we took was, I think it's a Varley barracks down there, isn't it? Is it the Varley down? I think it's, well anyway, we took a Navy barracks down there, and after that they gave us our breakfast down there. Now the very interesting part is, from there, we were sent up to Achnacarry. Don't know if you know it to spell that to you. Have you,
yeah.
You know, Achnacarry, which is the commando depot, the depot at Spleenbridge, and it's run by Colonel Vaughan. And actually, when we got there, we thought it was going to be like the Navy, you know, you get lorries lined up outside the station to take your kit and take you. So this very big sergeant there, the guards, I think, was, right, sling your kit in the lorry. So he slings the kit in the lorries, and he said, right now, he said, you're marching to our depot. He said, we're not marching. He said, we're doubling. It's only 5 mile away. He said, that's not far. So anyway, we doubled, and we get about a few hundred yards out the gate, and 2 pipers come out to meet us to march us into. And they marched us in. We went through the entrance, and on the right hand side is the guard room. And he falls us all in outside the and outside there's 7 graves just alongside the so he says, starts reading this out. He said, now take note, you lot, he said, because it could happen to you. And on the first one it's got like the writing, this man forgot a splays pin on his grenade, or the next one, this man forgot his rifle was loaded, or this man forgot his toggle rope, you know, toggle rope we used to have, or this man forgot the splays pin on his grenade, and this man showed his head above the skyline. And they got 7 of them. So I'm with Vic Dowle then. I said, oh, God, bloody hell, Vic, well, they don't bring you here to teach you anything, they bring you here to kill you, look. See, so that was it. And then we doubled up to these Nissan huts. There was nothing in the Nissan huts except a combusting iron stove, that's all, a fire, when you put the fire in. Right, he says, down the side was, I'd say, a board, say 6 foot long by 3 foot. And on the top of the board was a block of wood. This is true, I'm telling you, any of the lads have been at Carry, they tell you. Right, he said, double. So we went down, he doubled us down to some big shed. He said, take one of them off there. Well, what it was a palliasse cover, you know, just the mattress with nothing in it. Over there, he said, there's a load of straw. Fill it up with straw. He said, pour the ends tight, that's your bed. Crikey, I was, you know, we thought, what do we let ourselves in for? They give us 2 blankets. You can imagine being up there at that time of the year as well. It was always raining. Wasn't quite freezing cold, but it rained every day. Well, anyway, we one thing what was good up there, the food was very good. I suppose they had to build us up for that sort of thing. And the Nissan huts were out right back, and the playground, to get to the playground from the Nissan huts, it was all muddy surface, all mud. Therefore, to get on the playground, you had to double from the Nissan huts around the road, right the way round to get on the playground. If you went across the mud, your boots were dirty. You had it when you get down there. But the first thing we used to do was fall in on parade. First off, he said, "Oi, on parade, move." Of course, being sailors, we used to get on the parade in one big heap sort of thing, you know. He had us going backwards and forwards, getting on this parade properly, just for a start. And then we used to get PT. Well, what's a bad till we get log PT? Maybe someone was a bit taller than me, and I'm in the middle of 2 tall ones, and I couldn't reach the log, so I'm going through the motions. And this big sergeant comes up to me, he said, "You, down the front." So I'm down the front. Of course, I've got all the weight. And, you know, that's the way they used to treat you. But, you know, it's... And also, another thing I must add, the officers were no different from the ranks. When we were doing assault courses, anything like that, they joined the men in the ranks. No, there was no distinction, you know, during all this time. But off parade, I mean, they're officers again. They issued us also with denims up there, and but it was really a strenuous time. We wore denims all the time. Your feet and socks were wet through. We used to come back when we finished 6 o'clock at night. You used to finish your head till even then, but you'd have a good meal, and your socks and all your wet denims and all, you just, you know, spread them out on the floor sort of thing. Next morning, all you do is put all on the wet clothes, socks and denims, and proceed again next morning as wet as you were when you packed up the night before. I don't know whether they thought this was clever or good, I don't know. And consequence, wearing wet socks and heavy army boots, I had the biggest blisters on my heels than anybody's seen. And not only was it me, it was everybody. But the point was, even with blisters, you weren't allowed to go sick. A consequence, when they burst, well, you can imagine what it was like inside your socks. But you weren't allowed to go sick unless it was for something serious.
Had you been told what was you were being trained for? Did you have an idea of your
But
role?
no, we were. You see, the point is this: when we marched into Achnacarry, the 42nd Marine Commando were just marching out, and of course, being Marines and we being matlows, you could guess what it was. The boots next were saying, "Oh, you never stick it yet. Fancy sending sailors up here. You're no good on dry land and all this sort of thing. You're all right at sea." Well, anyway, the 42nd Marine Commando, when they went into Achnacarry, they told the instructors, "Huh, we're Marines. There's nothing you can teach us." Consequence, when they marched out and we marched in, these instructors, they had it in for us because we was matlows, and they were really nasty to us on everything. Assault courses, you know, if we went round once on the assault course, and it was really an assault course, and you finished up coming across a toggle bridge and then down the death side sort of thing. And we stuck this for quite a while and complained to our officers, and our officers complained to Colonel Vaughan and said we wanted to know why these instructors were taking it out of us like that. Well, then he explained they had a lot of trouble with the Marine Commandos, so they thought us being sailors we were two of a kind. So LCO Redshaw told them that it's got to pack up because they're not going to take it, and if he did, he'd put a report in. So anyway, in the end, these instructors apologised to us. They said, well, you know, we thought being Marines and being matlows, you were two of a kind sort of thing. And the first thing in the mornings, if I might carry on from where,
Yeah.
the first thing we used to do in the mornings was, after breakfast was parade, and you had half hour to get shaved and wash and all that. Well, when you went into the bathroom where you get shaved and all, there's only say 6 mirrors and 6 bowls, you know, for washing and shaving. So the chap called Vic Dowle lived at Wembley actually. We went down and we got a shave in the stream, ice cold water. And of course, we never got a proper shave and it's still showing quite a lot. We just fell in on the playground, we get the inspection, and along comes this officer and he said, have you shaved this morning? We said, yes sir. Well, he said, it don't look like it. He said, tonight there's a cinema show on. Cool, he said, good cinema show. And he said, but you two won't be doing it. He said, you can use your own shoe polish.
Mr. Kipling, Reel 6.
You can use your own shoe polish, he said, and I want that combustion stove, the chimney, the coal scuttle and everything, polished, shiny with blacking. That was a punishment we got for not getting a shave properly. But what can you do if you can't get in the bathroom? But he had no answer for that for us. Anyway, we used to do this assault course first thing in the morning. Terrible assault course it was. And we used to finish up across a river on a toggle bridge, which were made out of toggle ropes. And then you had the death slide, but then you had a scale sort of tree, it had steps on it, and then swing on a rope from there right across to the other side. And then there was a rope going across the stream. Well, it was like a rope bridge, but with only one rope in the centre for putting your feet on. And then the other rope, you get across that all right. Bearing in mind, you've got weapons, you've got weapons and you're in battle order, which means you've got your weapon, you've got a pack on your back, whatever you had to put in it. So therefore, you weren't coming across empty-handed or anything. And the another one used to go across the river, just a long, heavy rope from that bank to that bank, up in a tree high up, secured. And you had to come across there, what we used to call the catwalk. You're on top of the rope, and the rope is in between, more or less, sort of your legs, and you're laying on top of the rope. So therefore, you've got to pull yourself along and push yourself along with your legs. Mostly all of us come off the rope. So what we were doing, we were on the rope, hanging on underneath like a monkey goes across. And if you let go, you're in the water. Many of us fell in the water on the catcall across there. And then we used to have another one called attacking strong points. You go across a load of boggy, marshy ground. And I'll tell you how good these instructors were to chaps. This mate of mine who I joined from Whale Island, he was dumping across and he had a Lewis gun on his shoulders and he went down the bog, up to his waist, into the bog. And I'm standing there laughing at him. So this instructor comes up, he said, what are you laughing at? I said, no, nothing really. I said, you know, I'm just helping my mate out of the bog. So we take these strong points. What happens when you get these strong points? They made them like a wooden hut thing with no roof on it. It's the best way I can describe it. But in this hut there's figures. And you start to pulls a lever and this body shoves out. And as the body shoves out, you've got to get it. So anyway, we've done all these things and we come back. I comes across a marshy bit. What did I do? I jumps in a bog and I sings out to my waist. This instructor comes up, calls Victor over, said, now you bloody well stand down there and laugh at him. You see what I mean? They believed in this sort of thing. And also another thing we used to go on was when we used to do these hand grenade things, we'd be behind a load of sandbags and he'd give you a detonator, show you how to do it, and you had to use the detonator, put it in your own hand grenade. And we had one chap, instead of lobbing the hand grenade and releasing it the way we were shown, he held on these too long, and instead of releasing it high up so that it sailed, he just released it when he was down here and it dropped just over the sandbags. Lucky enough, don't know what happened, he must have done something, but it didn't go off. So the instructor said, right, he said, that's another rule we've got here. Whoever throws the grenades, if they don't go off, you go and get them. He said, I'm not sending nobody else and I'm not going else to get somebody killed. And this chap, he just had to go and get the grenade. Lucky enough, it didn't go off. Something, you know, must have happened, whether he, you know, didn't put the, I got no idea, didn't put a, what's the name in the grenade itself. So, but we done lots of things up there. And another thing we used to do, we had to scour the castle. They had a castle in the ground belonged to Lord, oh, I can't remember his name now.
Duke of Argyll.
Duke of Argyll, yeah. It belonged to him. We had to scale the cliff, the castle rather, and then we had to come down the castle on the other side, which we done. That wasn't too bad because being sailors we used to sort of climbing up ropes and climbing down ropes. But there was one time, and this commanding officer of mine, they took us right up in this very high sort of mountain affair sort of thing, and a quarter of the way up was a steep drop, and at the top of this drop was where a tree had been cut down, but half of it was showing outside the ground. They didn't cut it down complete. Right, so the instructor comes up with this big coil of rope, and he said, righto, he said, let's see what you sailors are all about now. He said, you're going to scale that cliff going down it. So anyway, I thought, well, that's good. So Rachel said to me, come on, Kipling, he said, you're a general service man, show us how it's tied up. So I shoved it around a couple of times, put a clothitch in and then just tied it round navy way sort of thing. Righto, and then, so I went to give it to my commanding officer, Rachel. He started there again, he said, oh, I've got to tell you, he said, whoever ties the rope, tests it. So you're over first. So over I went. Lucky enough, I, you know, did it all right. Wasn't so bad. The only thing I found, which I learned my lesson, when you get 3/4 of the way down, you sort of let yourself go, and instead of still having the rope between your feet and your hands and letting yourself go, you sort of slide it, and all the skin got burnt off my hands, you know, for the heat of that. Well, anyway, we done, I'm not quite sure, about 6 weeks or something like that at Achnacarry, and we passed all the commando training and everything else, and Colonel Vaughan, he had us all fell in on the playground, and he told us, he said, right, he said, when I first saw you lot come in here, he said, I didn't think you'd make it. He said, but I'm now going to present you with, so he presented us with green berries, which not everybody got the green berries, because not everybody went into the Achnacarry. So we got our green berries, and I think we went on leave from there actually, from Achnacarry. Then, but it certainly was. It was a tough place actually, and you could quite see how they turned people out, you know. And it amazed me because he told us that a lot of chaps are sent. We had one chap sent back to barracks that couldn't do anything. So which wasn't bad. Normally the army have quite a few of them. Is that you want to ask?
No, I don't think so. So after you finished your course at Achnacarry, what happened then?
All right. After that, we went back to Greenock and boarded a assault ship called Marnix van Sint Algondi, whatever his name is, and that was in Gerlock. We went aboard that ship. Number 3 went on the Glengyle, and number 2 went on the Derbyshire, and they were all landing craft ships. Means that, you know, they've all got landing craft, and you sort of go from there. You can come straight from them onto landing craft. One morning we steamed out of Greenock and picked up a convoy out in the house. But apart from that, on board again were the 1st Canadian Div, which is ironic if you think of it. I went with the 1st Canadian Div. I landed with them in, I should be landing with them in Sicily, and we also landed again with them in Italy. So it's 3 times that we went in with the Royal Canadian, 1st Canadian Div. Yeah.
Can you take me through the Sicily landings now? This is July 1943.
Actually, when we was on board the Marnix and in convoy, we hit a terrific storm in the Mediterranean, and so therefore they had to backdate the time of landing for a few hours. I felt sorry for all the smaller ships because there was LCAs and MLs and all smaller craft that were really getting tossed about all over the place. In any case, we we went into Sicily on the Marnix, and we were going to land at a place called Pachino, P-A-C-H-I-N-O. We had our orders, and we had what we were going to do. Actually, before we'd done anything else, we had to clear the beach. Up on the right hand side of the beach was an Italian pillbox, and on the left hand side of the beach was sort of a castle. Well, it was our job, N2's job, to get rid of the Italian pillbox. When we get off of Pachino in Sicily, they drop the landing craft into the water, and the only way we can get into the landing craft was over scrambling nets. Now, if anybody's been on a scrambling net with a ship swaying from side to side, it needs some doing. Even my chum Vic Dowle finished up hanging by his ankles and caught in the net coming over the side. But anyway, we went into Pachino, but before we landed, our landing craft hit a sandbar, and on the other side of the sandbar was about 5 to 6 feet of water. So you can understand how difficult it was, us in 5 or 6 feet of water with weapons, battle order and everything else, weight of hand grenades, magazines. Anyway, we managed that all right, and they left some Royal Engineers on the sandbar to blow it up, which they did do. We landed in Pachino, took our objective with the pillbox. Funny enough, when we got the pillbox, there was nobody there. They just run off, which is typical for Italians. And what we done then, we cleared the beach of all the other obstacles, took up our positions, and withheld the beach until the main assault troops came in. After a while, there was one landing craft infantry that was laying just off the beach, I would say about 100, 150 yards off the beach, and it had been struck, and therefore it could only drop a gangway over the side, like we say steps, but the water was so deep that they couldn't let the infantry bods off there. Once again I was asked, would I go to out to this landing craft infantry. I went out with this chap again, Vic Dowle, and we took a rope out with us. We swam, taking this rope out. We passed it up, they dropped a rope over the side, we passed it up, passed it to them, and they secured it, and a big majority of the troops came out then. We secured it onto the beach, and a big majority of the troops on board the LCI came out then, hanging onto the rope, hand over hand. Who dropped got wet, but the majority of them, you know, got through all right. And I could never understand why they didn't hit us, because there was shots coming all over the place, and there were plenty of snipers around, but you know, there again, we got away with it. And I had to do, of course we dug our slit trenches, and I had to dig our slit trench, and the officers, I was his bodyguard, and I dug him a nice deep slit trench, and I had about a foot of mine done, and over come Jerry just strapping the beach. So I thought, well, I haven't got one, so the best thing I do was to jump in feet first on top of this officer. I mean, it's my slit trench I did. But he was quite alright about it, you know. It's one thing and another. And then we started getting all the rations in, and when we secured down, we had a job to do on the beach. You'd never believe it, but when the Pioneer Corps, our chaps, I'm afraid to say, when the combo boxes were coming in, see, in the combo boxes there's meat, there's corned beef, there's sweets, there's cigarettes, and there's matches. Then they come straight in, they go up the front line. And what they were doing, the Pioneer Corps, was opening these boxes, taking out the sweets and the cigarettes, and nailing them back down again. So we had the job of playing sentry on them, and the orders were that if you did catch anybody, don't mess about. And by the way, I forgot to mention it, we had a password in Sicily which was desert rats, and the answer was kill Italians, which wasn't bad because that's what we was there for. One time I left my commanding officer and I had to go out guarding a chap called Wallace. He's a subby. There was 6 of us went out, but I had to protect him because we were hunting for snipers. And we moved up a bit, and during the night it had been teeming down with rain. This officer, he was a bit sloppy in the morning. I don't know what had happened, but he was a little bit of a bully. So it had been raining hard at night, and we moved up a bit further. Well, probably as you know, is when you're bodyguard, you go about 15 or 20 yards in front of the officer, and everything you do, he does. Because I mean, it could be a sniper, right? You go down, he goes down. You're not such a good target, or it could be anything. So anyway, I comes up against a big puddle of muddy, dirty water. I'm looking all round. I keep my eye on this Wallace. When I get the other side, he's just about halfway up through the mud, and I immediately goes flat down on my tummy. Well, he had to do the same. Was it either that or he stopped a bullet? He didn't know what it was. So flat down on my guts I went, and so did he. Straight in the middle of the muddy puddle. We got up and moved off, and he looked in a hell of a state. But he took it quite well. He said, I know what you done that for. That was it. So I never heard no more about it, so he couldn't do much about it anyway. Well, we finished our job in Pachino. Another little story, probably you know about it, but don't forget when the glider troops came in Sicily, the Americans were towing the gliders, and there was quite a huge ack barrage going up, and they was well over the sea at the time, the Americans, and instead of climbing higher or trying to swing right out the barrage, they let the gliders go. And this, I don't know if you've heard of it, this is true. They let the gliders go, and a lot of them crashed into the sea and drowned a lot of our poor lads, the paras. And for days we was picking them off the beach, them that got washed in. And that's a true story. It's funny, I was in a pub one night talking to a chap, and I was telling him about this, and there was a fella standing near us, and he must have heard what we was talking about. He said, "You're so right," he said, "and that's true as we stand here," he said, "because I was one of them that managed to get back okay on the beach without drowning." And that was our friends the Americans again.
Well, you were picking up the dead bodies on the beaches, you mean?
Yeah, where they were drowned coming in. I don't know if you've heard that before, but
into some of the
yeah,
pilots.
and it's quite true that is, and we see it happen first. You know, from where we were on the beach, we could see it actually happened, and that was the Yanks again. So,
how much resistance did the enemy put up at Pachino?
Hardly anything at all. Mostly all of it was inland war. We had quite a bit of artillery, you know, but as regards bombing, we had bombing in the evenings, not during the day. And the only opposition that M1 had, this friend of mine, Bromley, there was a sniper in the shed, and he must have been behind the door. Ray Bromley opened up on this door with a machine gun, and goes in, kicks the door in after, and this Italian's laying on the ground with his rifle alongside him. And actually it was a Lewis gun that Bromley had, and he was a bit of a mad sort as well. He had more tracers in there than normal bullets, and of course this Italian laying on the ground was sort of on fire with tracer bullets all in. But there wasn't much opposite at all. I was really surprised. But
and so after Sicily, what happened to you then?
Sicily, well, after Sicily we went, I forget what ship we went back on. Oh, we went on an LST, took us across to Malta, and from Malta we went down the Suez Canal to Kabrit, to a place called HMS Saunders, to train for the next landing and to recuperate. We had 7 days leave from there. Actually, I went up to Palestine, up to Port Tufik. Went across the Sinai Desert on a train. Wasn't a very good trip. We had 7 days leave, and while the leave camp we stopped, it was a place called Nathania. It was a 8th Army, leave camp, which was quite good actually. Then we went, after leave, we went back to Kabrit and done extensive training. I can always remember, actually one of the regiments was the Royal Sussex Regiment, and we were doing training then ready for Italy. A typical thing, we land on beaches in training. They say, now this beach is exactly the same as the beach you're going to land on, and when you get there it's nothing like the beach at all. It's a different thing altogether. But anyway, we from Kabrit we took passage on the Phoebe light cruiser to Naples, and we were billeted in a place called Nisida. It's a little island just off of Naples that actually is a civilian prison, but there wasn't none in there at the time. We actually took it over. And after that, from there, my commanding officer, Lieutenant Commander Redshaw, came back to UK to take over K Party, and then I had to look after another officer, Lieutenant Varley. The poor chap's dead at the moment. And from there we came to back to Sicily, and we moved up to Messina, and just outside Messina was a little orange grove which we were camped in. And I'm sure that the Germans saw us on the other side, because it's a very narrow slate and we was all bivouacked sort of more or less on the beach. Anyway, we got these, the next morning these landing craft came in, and we were told what our objective was going to be, and we told also that there had been a fantastic gun barrage going up, 1,000 guns, creeping barrage, and we were to land at Villa San Giovanni, which is on the southern, near Reggio. It's the southernest point of Italy, on the hill of Italy. Next morning, before it's light, early in the morning must have been about 2 or 3 o'clock, we gets in these landing craft, and over we go. And we thought, hello, another lot again, wonder what we're going to meet this time. So this creeping barrier actually wasn't very far ahead of us when we was 3/4 of the way over. And I'm sure that when we landed it was only 300 yards ahead of us then. But luck was with us, nothing dropped short, and the barrage was okay. Anyway, we lands on the beach here, takes over all the positions we're supposed to do, and we get dug in. Next day, 3 of us, me, Taffy Thomas and Vic Dowle, we were sent along the beach to do a recce. As bad luck would have it, we get halfway along the beach and these 4 Messerschmitt 109 come out of the sky. Vic Dowle and me, we dashes up the beach and dives under these, look like small orange trees. I thought, well, we're not really safe here, but if they can't see us, they're not going to shoot us. And this chap, Taffy Thomas, he's standing out on the beach, looking at them. So I said, shouts at him, come on, undercover, and he's, I don't know whether they hypnotise him or something. Next thing, these chaps, 4 of them Messerschmitts, are dropping personnel bombs and machine gun in the beach. Vic Dowle, Taffy Thomas.
It's a Kipling Real 7.
So he was shouting at me, Kip, I've been hurt. So me, being a bit craftier and probably more skilled, I was shouting back, "Oh, you Taffy, I'm not coming out for you till they've gone." Well, anyway, they passed over and he's on the beach. And what old Vic Dowle and me done, we picked him up and we made sort of a stretcher with our Tommy guns. Took him back along the beach. And they whipped him off to a hospital. And I didn't see him no more after that, till I met him a few years ago at one of our reunions. He joined our association. And we often have a laugh about it now. He said, "Would you really have come out sitting?" Oh, I said, "I wouldn't. What's the good of me going out? And there was two of us originally there, not one." But anyway, and we had also had another chap, can't remember what his name, he went crazy, he did. He was chasing everybody out with a big carving knife. But that's just one of those things.
This
and
is at Reggio di Calabria.
Yeah. Now, after Reggio, Vivo Valento, we had to do some landings actually. M1 went up to Viva Valento, and N2 we done Scalia and Belvedere. See what happened, it was the same that happens on the other coast when we go over there. The Germans at that time were retreating, you know, and they were retreating, and the infantry couldn't keep up with them. Because I mean, you know, that's one of those things. So what we had to do a raid. We done this one at Scalia, and done one at Viva Valento. So some infantry landed there, alright, and infantry landed there, and then they done a pincher movement sort of thing. And we also went into another place a bit further up called Belvedere. So we done one or two little landings up there as well.
So these were like commando raids?
Yeah, just a diversion raid, you know, just to assist the infantry. We done it again on the other coast, the Adriatic coast, when we moved across. So from there, then our next do was we moved up to Anzio Beachhead. And so we moved into Anzio Beachhead. That was that was a worse one than the whole lot of them, I think, because the Germans were dug in well at Anzio. They also had these big railway Anzio Annie, the railway guns. When they fired the recoil, used to drive them back into a tunnel. They come out fire and drive back, and it just pushed them back into the tunnel again. And there was no way really of getting in at them. Well, they did in the end, but and we were terribly bombed every day up in Anzio. And they also hit the wharf that they put up on the hard, where the LSTs used to come along, and the lorries used to go along and unload from the LSTs. And there's two of these caught fire with them when they've been bombed, and there was ammunition aboard. And two of our chaps jumped in and drove them off along the beach, and jumped out. Of course, they got nothing for it; it's just part of their job. And also another house we were in. When we were moving, we used to do spells at the time. Then we used to maybe do 4 weeks at Nisida, and then 4 weeks in Anzio. And there was one of our party, and when they were just coming out, and a shell hit the house they were living in as they were coming out from the house. And a chap called Thornborough, he lost a leg, and the officer of the M1 lost a leg. Russell, his name was, commander, and he actually, his leg was hanging off. And it's just hanging on by sort of a bit of flesh or skin. And this commander actually cut the rest of it off himself. And he wrote a letter to us in the end telling us what it felt like if ever you had to do it yourself. And that's what I say, we used to do that. We used to do a month at a time, at, you know, month up and a few weeks back, then a month up. And well, we done it solidly for about 3 months. But after the first 2 or 3 weeks, things eased up on the beach, but it didn't do any good for the advancing troops on there, because I mean the idea of that was to get to Rome, but also the biggest thing was to relieve the Battle of Cassino, which actually Anzio didn't go right, and they reckoned days before we landed there that the Germans were doing full-scale manoeuvres on the beach. So I mean, you know, after that,
were you the first in at Anzio?
yeah, we were the first in on the beach. We always were first in. See, that is our motto, in prima ex ultra, which, you know, in first, last out. But I normally put it round the other way. I'm joking, of course. But we were always first in on beaches all the time.
When you went into Anzio, was it an opposed landing as you went
Well,
in?
it wasn't that bad a pose. See, I always find landings, and not altogether you get great opposition on the landing. You normally get, what opposition you get when you land after a while is aeroplanes and artillery. And I find that the fighting's done more as they get inland, say, a couple of miles, because I've seen these bombardments from us, like that one from Messina to Italy. When you see a barrage like that, it cheers you up. You think, God, nothing can live through that. And when you get over to the other side, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. They had days like Germans at casinos. Look at, they were dug in there. They couldn't shift them out of it. You give credit. He was a good soldier. I mean, I don't mean the SS troops or any of them, but the average hostility German soldier sort of thing. But I've never had much. Well, the only opposition, we say we don't, but the only opposition I've seen is on the dieppe raid. You know, where they land tanks on a shingle beach. I mean, they can't get off. But there's more opposition there. Mind you, I don't say it's easy, but you don't seem to get as much opposition on the beach as you do when you get just inland a bit. Because I mean, it's obvious that if you know an invasion force is coming in, it's no good you defending the beaches. I mean, it's going to do no good at all. Because half of you is going to get wiped out by aircraft, artillery, ships, barrages, everything. So, you know, I find it's a bit further inland. Because I mean, inland, they're probably out of all this sort of trouble. Artillery, I mean, you get a naval bombardment, it's terrific. I mean, just wiped. And then they had these rocket craft. Remember I showed you that LCF-1? Well, they had these rocket craft, and they was exactly the same, you know, as an LST. It hadn't been altered at all. But they got inserted all in that whale deck. You might think I'm exaggerating a bit, but I'm not. There's about 1,000 rockets. And it stays off the beach, and they fire all these rockets. And they reckon it'd clear anything from half a mile, clear the whole lot of it. And I've seen them fire that, and we've gone and landed, and you think, crikey. But there's always somebody there, you know, that just seems to get through, and or they're so well dug in that it don't make much difference. No, I think it's more inland, what I've seen, you know, because you get further inland. I mean, they blow the bridges up, and you're stuck there again. They bloom this up and that, or you've got a minefield, and that's another thing I used to worry about, was minefields. I mean, it's obvious if you know that a party's going to land there, you're going to put a few mines down there. So that's what I say. We're first in, and we're taking all those chances. We don't know where the mines are or anything like that until the RVs land. They go with their sounding machines and pick them out, and then put the white tapes down. I mean, that's once you get the white tapes down, you can, in between the tapes, you're all right. But when we go in, we don't know, you know, where there's mines or what the devil there is around there.
So, any other memories from Anzio?
No, not from that. From there, we went back to Nisida. And while I was at Nisida, there was a party I was chosen to go on this LCI, a little island called Monte Christo. And I think that island's where Napoleon also was imprisoned once, not ELBA, Monte Christo. And at Monte Christo, there was a German radio location set that they was well up there, and every ship, they was doing what, say, us coast watchers were doing in Iceland. They were doing the same with this radio location set. You know, they could see any landing craft coming in, the ships coming in, the aircraft, and they were sending all this back to their own troops. So we had to go in to get them. Anyway, we goes in at night at Monte Christo. It's only a little island in between Rome and Naples, I think it's just off of Italy. And we goes in there. We lands, and we go, and we split up, and we goes up, and we took these Germans quite easy. 3 was asleep, and 1 was sitting by the radio location set. So lucky enough, we didn't have to kill any of them. And the one sitting down shoved his hand in his ear, and the other 3 got a jab with a Tommy gun and packed up. That was one little job we had to do. All little things like that, you know. It's took them back to Naples. But quite nice little island, Monte Christo. What we saw of it in the daytime when we was coming back again. and that's just one little job that we sort of had to do, you know. And then from when we came back out of Anzio, we went then across to Porto Vecchio in Corsica. The idea of that was O Party were at a place, a Jetsio I think they were, and there was M Party, they was in another place. And the idea that one unit had to go and do the landing of ELBA. Lucky enough, I don't know what happened, but we didn't have to go on that one. But O Party went. I don't know whether you know about what happened to them. Actually, they lost quite a lot. They went into ELBA with these, I don't know what's right, was Senegalese troops, I like the Frenchies. And their idea, our party, the O Party, they were to take the flagship that was tied up alongside the jetty there. Well, they went in, and something happened. I don't know what did happen actually, but they started lobbing these hand grenades from the landing craft into the flagship, and sometimes what the Germans were doing and picking them, slinging them back over again. But anyway, they got quite a bit of, when they got inboard even, they got they got quite a few. I'm not sure though. I think they lost about 15 to 20 men. I don't know the whole story. It's not my party, but well, you know, the reason why I'm giving you is that for simple reason is that we went to Corsica, and actually one of us should have gone to ELBA, and they chose O Party. I suppose they thought, you know, we'd had a little bit of a rest sort of thing. Well, from there, from Corsica, Porto Vecchio, we went back again.
What, but was there any opposition at Porto Vecchio?
No, nothing at all. It had all been taken and cleared. See, the idea of us, we only went over because where we were was the nearest point to ELBA. So of course, you know, from there we were going to land there, but they only needed one party.
This is N Commando again.
Yeah, but it was O Party that done the.
But you're in N Commando.
Yeah, it's all in actually. And from there we went back over to Nisida again, and then from Nisida we went across. We had our own transport issued to us, and in Naples we had jeeps and 3-tonners and all this sort of thing. So we went across from Naples to Termoli. I expect you've heard about Termoli. That's where the Marines landed and took Termoli. Anyway, we landed at Termoli, and we stayed there a couple of days, and then we went up the coast, and we landed at my wife's place called Porto San Giorgio, which is just below a port called Ancona. It's about halfway up Adriatic coast of Italy. And we landed, we went into there, nice long sandy beaches. There was no opposition to do. The Germans had scattered just before we came there, sort of thing. And while we was waiting in Porto San Giorgio to move up, we used to go hunting. Of course, when Italy capitulated, a lot of our soldiers that were prisoners of war, they escaped, and they were hiding in the hills or in different farmhouses at the risk of the owners, because if the Germans found them, they would shoot the owners and burn their property down. Well, we found quite a few of them, and we even found one, I can remember him, ginger-haired soldier, by these fascists that had been battered to death. So another place we were supposed to go to, we had to go to this village one night because we got news through there was some fascisti in the village, and they was beating everybody up. And there's a place called Castello Plania, and it was on top of a big hill. A lot of these towns and cities in Italy are on top of big hills, because I understand in the old days they were getting invaded so much years and years ago that they built these villages high up so they could see the enemy coming. But anyway, that's another story. So we went into this place, Castello Plania, and we done a big search, and we found out, one Italian came to us and he said, there's some fascisti in that big, it was a big wine cellar. He said, I know, he said, I think there's quite a few down there. So anyway, along we goes. So he shouts down, Chi va là, you know, put your hands up. Nobody come up. So we had this chap with us, bit of interpreter. He could speak quite a bit of English and his own language. And we told her to say that if they weren't up in 30 seconds, we're going to sling hand grenades down. So I said, well, I see, I'll sling them down in any case. They've been, what are you going to do with them when you get them? So we're only going to look after them. So, I said, better not, get them out. So we got them out. And we had to take them to a place called Yetzi, where they had this prison. And I think it's about J-E-S-I, just like Jesus, but with a J, Jesse. And we took these back to the prison in Yezzi. And believe me, we were in two ranks with all these in the middle of us, these fascists. And the people were pushing us out of the way just to punch him in the face or anything. Anyway, we took them back into the police, the MPs and all that. That's the last we heard of them. Don't know what happened. They probably shot them. Because they are the chaps that were killing our boys for escaping. That was Porto San Giorgio. Well, anyway, while I was at Porto San Giorgio, my wife is now, her father worked on the railway, so they had a railway house. And the railway house was on the crossing. And next morning, I got the COC and I'm driving up to DID to get some petrol. And I got this other chap that comes from Bristol, Tony Hitchcock. He was with me, and he was a bodyguard and back and another officer. And when we came back, my wife was sitting outside the door of this railway house, and she's sitting there sewing. And believe you me, when she was young, when she was young, well, she's now, but she's a very beautiful woman. I said to this friend of mine, I said, you see that girl over there? He said, yeah. I said, I'm going to marry her. So he said, don't be daft. He said, I've heard all this before. Anyway, one thing led to another, and my commanding officer wanted some washing done, these shorts and all that. So I said, I'll take them up and see what they, because if you give them soap and all that, I mean, soap was gold dust, And so we take it up. I took them up and I gave them to, she wasn't there actually, but I saw her mum and I asked her to do some washing. She said, oh yeah, she said, come back tonight and it'll be all nice and dry and ironed. So I went back in the evening and my wife was there, and then they invited me to dinner. So what I did do, one thing led to another. I mean, I wouldn't get married till after the war for this, for the simple reason is that when you keep going up on these diversion raids or going up, blowing up a few railway lines and things like that at night, you never know what's going to happen. So we left that till after the war, and then in the August we moved up the coast more. So I had to say cheerio, but I managed to get down now and again. I even hitchhiked 400 miles to get down there and stayed 3 or 4 hours and went to hitchhike back again. But anyway, that again is another story. From there we moved up the coast again. We moved up to, bearing in mind now these places we're moving up to now, they have been cleared and they're right on the coast. Or another little thing that we used to do, I remember someone talking about Popsky's Proud Army. Well, they used to come in at night before even the British troops had moved in where we were. They used to come up there at night and collect quite a few of the escaped English prisoners of war, and they used to come in on these LSTs and take them back down to Brindisi. Quite a good bunch of chaps then. Like I say, we were moving up. We moved up then to Recce. And going back talking about mines, my officer was driving the Jeep and I was sitting next to him. And we're driving into this place called Recce. How the Jeep didn't go up, I don't know. But we drive across. I said, stop a minute. And he done an emergency stop sort of thing. I said, do you know we're over a mine? And it looked like a tiller mine or box shoe mine, something like that. And of course he's shaking like a leaf. He said, what shall we do then? I said, look, I'll tell you the best thing to do. You throw yourself out that way and I'll throw myself out that way. So that's what we done. He slung himself out and I slung myself out. Lucky enough nothing happened. And then we had to get on to the wall engineers to send up a couple of blokes to, but they didn't care. They sort of pushed the Jeep off the mine, and then got in underneath it. And somebody said as well that when these Italians were evacuating or they were going inland, leaving their houses and coming back, they used to bury all their stuff in the gardens, dig deep holes, and we found about 20 gallons of petrol underneath a chicken house. And that's what they used to do with all this stuff. But as I say, these places we move up now, they have been cleared. We went to recce, Mondolfo, Morato, Rimini. We got to Ancona. From Ancona we moved up further and we finished up at Ravenna. And that's where we met Popsky's army again, was at Ravenna. And also, the reason we had to go up there also was at Ravenna, and there was a canal that used to run in from Porto Corsini into Ravenna. But they reckon before they could bring any ships in there was 1 or 2 mines in this canal at the moment. So what happened, they brought a big generator down for one side of the canal, and they brought another big generator down for the other side. And what happened, they had this, I think it was a jeep towing, Sang was towing it, and there was a cable going from one generator to the other one, which sent electric current as they moved down. And we had the job actually of clearing this canal. But there's only, what, 3 or 4 mines. I mean, it could have caused a lot of... Then also we had, they must have slipped up where the German E-boat come in the canal one night. And we took that, nipped aboard. The Germans just give themselves up. I don't know where they come from. But on board it was loaded up with cognac, German beer, loads of German tin food, living there for months. And also at the end of the canal, they had how can I put it? They had a lorry, but it wasn't a lorry. It was like a barrage. They used to do barrage balloons. They'd done these with lorries and tanks, blew them up right on the edges of, of where they can be seen, and they even had tanks like it, lorries, just to kid the Germans that there was loads of troops there. But anyway,
Mr. Kipling relate.
And after Ravenna, we had our last landing to achieve, which I wasn't very pleased at really, because I mean, I think it was the end of April, when the war finished in May, wasn't it? I thought, crikey, I don't want to catch something at this late time to do. But anyway, we had to land at Lake Commachio. I expect you've heard that. And we landed with the Marine Commandos. Well, typical landing. We're going across, and we got there late for a start. So Germans had a sideshow, and also on the initial landing on the shore sort of thing, it was loaded with mines which had to be cleared before anybody could get in there. And actually the opposition was really bad. And I can remember also Germans using these I forget what you call them now, that shoot fire out. Flamethrowers, that's right, yeah. The Germans were using flamethrowers on us, and I got a burnt hand actually. I think my wife remembers that. But
how did that exactly happen?
Well, they used a flamethrower, I forget what it's on. It didn't hit my hand, but I mean, I think it was after. I put my hand on something to pull myself or something, and it was hot.
Some vegetation?
Oh yeah, I had some nasty blisters on my hand. But as I say, that was the last one. It wasn't a very big operation, and as far as I could make out, there wasn't many casualties. There was none on our side anyway. As a matter of fact, I think after the first couple of days we weren't needed. It was well in hand with the Royal Marines, so we came back again to Ravenna. After Ravenna, my CO, Varley, he came to me and he said, oh, by the way, he said, we're moving across to Naples and we'll be going back to the UK. So I said, well, I'm sorry, sir, I'm not going back. I said, I'm not going back to leave my wife here. So he said, well, I'll tell you what we do. He said, we're not going for a few days yet. He said, I'll take you back down home. He said, you drop your wife off, and when we get over to Naples, when the whole commando unit goes home, he said, I'll get you 2 weeks leave to go across and get her, but you'll have to make your own way back.